Welcome aboard Tristan and Tommy's Runaway Railway. For your safety, please remain seated and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to Please Remain Seated, a theme park podcast hosted by two theme park enthusiasts that work for the industry in Central Florida. In our show, we discuss theme park news, reviews, as well as our pass holder Karen of the Week and creatures of the park. Today's news, we're going to be discussing COVID restrictions being lifted, the Walt Disney World fireworks returning, Walt Disney World 50th anniversary news, and our theme park review of the week will be VelociCoaster. As we said, we're in Central Florida, and this week's news is a little bit Central Florida heavy. The COVID restrictions could actually apply to a lot of theme parks, but we will start to incorporate other theme parks in the future. There are other theme parks that I do want to talk about in terms of reviews and other news. But anyways, my name is Tommy. Our other host is Tristan. Tristan, how you doing?
Howdy, partner. What's going on, Tommy?
Not much, just really excited for our first episode of our theme park podcast. Please remain seated.
I'm very excited as well. Theme parks has been a really big part of my life for a while. And Tommy, I know that they're probably an even bigger part of your life. You're a real roller coaster nerd, if I remember correctly.
I spend way too much time on roller coaster YouTube and just roller coaster parts of the internet. I've always been like obsessed with them, just knowing random roller coaster facts my entire life. And I feel like I haven't even branched out to actually going to too many theme parks up until this year, just because of like, I don't know, money. I don't know. Um, but and then like COVID hit last year, and I've just been busy with my entire life. Growing up, me and my family, we used to go to Disney World like every year, and we went to a few other theme parks. But I in particular didn't unlock my love for roller coasters truly until like I was a preteen. I felt like I was always really interested in them. Like I remember like as a kid just like drawing roller coasters for random reasons, playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. Um, but then like everyone in my family is scared of roller coasters, and as a kid, they seem kind of intimidating. So I never really got to experience them. Like I would occasionally test the waters. Like as a kid, you do test track because that went really fast, and your parents would be willing to try that because it's a Disney ride. But I remember being like 9 years old, going to Universal, looking at the Incredible Hulk coaster, and thinking that's kind of scary. But I'm like, I kind of want to do it. But my dad's like, no, 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 baby, no, no, no. And now it's one of my favorite roller coasters ever. Now that I've been able to go on it as an adult. Um, but Tristan, you are also a big theme park nerd as well. You could be like a Disney historian.
Yeah, that is the side of it that I'm most oriented to. I do like history in general, but theme park history I like a lot, and Disney history even more so. I found that Disney history goes way, 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 way deeper than most people think at first.
Oh yeah.
So that's one thing I really like a lot. But even from when I was a kid, my parents took me to Disney for the first time when I was 7. And I think around 7, maybe even before that, I started playing a game called Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's something we both have in common. Um, yeah, it's something we both actually still play today, and we are
Yeah.
not ashamed to admit it. But
It's fun.
dude,
It's
it's
an
so
awesome
much fun.
game.
And that game is a lot cooler than a lot of people give it credit for too, because you have to learn all sorts of aspects to run your park properly.
Yeah.
It's not just build a cool looking roller coaster and you win the game. There's so
Which is
many
very
more
fun.
things. That is very fun. And Tommy sends me videos all the time of the cool roller coasters he builds, and they're a lot better than the
Yeah.
ones I can make. But
Guilty.
so we both have quite a history with theme parks, which is why we came here today to bring you this theme park podcast. Now, we are going to bring you theme park news and theme park reviews, but we're going to do something a little more unique in our show, I believe, and we're going to do these cool segments. The last half of our show is actually going to be kind of fun, kind of lighthearted. So we have 2 segments right now. One is called Pass Holder Karen of the Week. And we all know what a Karen is, but the theme park
Yeah.
version of a Karen is called a pass holder. So we
Oh
put the two
yeah.
together, and we have a segment called Pass Holder Karen of
They
the
are
Week.
entirely different breeds.
Oh, they
Like
are.
those Facebook groups, oh my gosh. It's like I had to leave them just because they gave me headaches, but because of this show and wanting to find them, I like I'm doing it for the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Do it for
Yeah.
the art.
For you guys.
I was never in any of them, but I joined them for this. And later in this episode, we'll have a pass holder Karen of the week that I found somewhere online. I don't remember if it was on a Facebook group or not, but so we're gonna have that segment, and we're gonna
Yeah,
have
and
creatures
we'll be
of the
scouring for
parks.
Facebook Karens ourselves, but if you see a pass holder Karen post that you want to share with us, send it to us and it might be on one of our episodes.
Definitely, definitely. We love, love, love to get to get those stories. So send them our way if you see a good juicy one. Um, Other than that, we're gonna have our creatures of the park segment. And that is a segment where we just talk about some of the crazy things that we have seen in the various theme parks, things that we have observed, maybe even things we've heard of. Um, and there really is no shortage of those stories if you live around Central Florida.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially them Florida tourists.
oh man, we could
Yeah,
honestly, it's not even limited to the theme parks. We could do a whole
yeah,
segment on US Highway 192, and that would
yeah.
that would be a full episode, but we're going to have a Creatures of the Park segment in this episode as well. So we're really looking forward to all of that. Tommy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling really good right now. I'm excited.
All right. Well, Mr. Newsman, why don't we hop on into our news updates?
Hey everybody, this is future Tommy talking. So I just want to give a little disclaimer. So this episode was recorded in early July when COVID restrictions were initially being rolled back. So the news and some of the opinions we gave are definitely outdated and incorrect now. But we still wanted to upload this episode to kind of give a little preview of how we felt at that time. Just give a heads up that I just want to give you all a heads up that some of our opinions have definitely changed, and we do express those in the next episode. But we wanted to include this episode because it's kind of fun, I guess, to see what it was like when we thought that when we had more hope. But anyways, on to the show.
All right, let's hop into our first one, which is going to be COVID restrictions being lifted. I think some of the biggest restrictions being lifted started back in May. Sometime in the middle of May, both Universal and Disney started like you didn't have to wear masks outdoors. They would do the whole thing where you don't have to wear masks outdoors if you're vaccinated, but we wouldn't actually check to see if you're vaccinated or not. Um, and then a few weeks later, I want to say Universal stopped requiring them indoors. It took Disney until the middle of June, I think, to like really let go of them. And I think right now at Disney World, you are only required to wear them on monorails and buses, which I actually believe is because of a US law that was made by this, like in accordance with the CDC that was enacted at the end of January, that face coverings need to be worn on public transportation. And that law is in effect until September 13th of this year. And I believe that's why they're still required on monorails and buses, because I have seen like people on Facebook groups, and even I've had the thought of like, why are they still required on, buses and stuff still when you don't have to wear them in indoor attractions? But I'm going to backtrack from that a little bit and say I remember when those rules were first announced just back in May, the masks outdoors. I myself was very concerned back then. Now, I did get fully vaccinated in April, but just knowing, how guests can be at the parks, knowing that they had a little bit of freedom outdoors and since we were so used to wearing masks for over a year at this point, both Universal and Disney just like out of nowhere at nighttime, they were like starting tomorrow, guests won't have to wear masks outdoors. It was kind of jarring at first. But as the like couple weeks went on and numbers still kept going down and I'm vaccinated myself, I started to feel a lot more comfortable with it after a couple weeks. And especially I actually had a vacation right around that time where I went to a theme park out of state that had even less mask rules than Disney and Universal at the time. And I ended up feeling pretty good about it. Tristan, how do you feel about it? Because also you had COVID a few months ago.
Yeah, I got it. I had COVID back in January, and it was scary. It was a scary time, not only for my own health but for my house. It kind of it messed up my whole house because everyone in my house had to take time off work, you know, and
Mhm.
which was kind of rough. But when the rules started disappearing, I was also a little concerned about it. I too I've been fully vaccinated since April, and for my own comfortability, it feels nice to be able to walk around outside and even inside in some
Yeah.
instances without it. However, um, it doesn't seem like the problem is going away very much. I don't know if it was quite time to completely ditch all the safety protocols. So it's a little concerning in that realm, but I don't really know if we can really expect any changes at this point. I don't believe any of these theme parks are going to go back with the rules. They're going to be like, well, we have to wear masks again now. I feel like that would cause too much of a ruckus. So I think masks and everything is gone for good, even though I don't know if that's the best idea. That's my personal opinion on it.
Yeah, it's like I know they're now optional. Like I don't think like Disney is sent like or places aren't saying you can't wear masks anymore. In terms of what I've been finding in terms of the COVID cases, especially like with this new Delta variant that's kind of scaring everybody recently, the people who are getting mostly affected are those who aren't vaccinated. Like I think the statistic is like over 90% of the COVID deaths, like since May, have been from people who haven't been vaccinated. So that's like kind of promising. And at least I haven't looked at numbers in a while, but like I remember when vaccinations were still like kind of going up, and they still kind of are, and rules started getting rolled back, cases and deaths were going down. I don't know. I feel like the cases and deaths have kind of plateaued in terms of how much they've gone down, maybe even risen a little bit with the variant. Um, but there's a part of me that's like kind of like since I'm vaccinated, I think I'm a little bit okay with it. Um, just because I think my biggest concern with COVID is getting long haul COVID, like not even like getting killed from it, just like the few cases of people who have like I've read like a handful of cases at least where people they were like athletes, like very healthy athletic people who have been like basically crippled like without any energy for like months because of COVID, and that thought kind of terrifies me. I feel very lucky that nobody close to me had a bad case of it, as far as I know. I did have at least two coworkers who passed away from it. Two older coworkers. And this is kind of all coming from someone who just a few months ago was having panic attacks at Walmart for people no-nosing. It's kind of nice feeling a little bit more comfortable with things being rolled back now.
Yes. Overall, I do think it's nice from a personal standpoint to go out there and do all that. So yeah, there it is. That's one of the big things lately, the COVID rules being rolled back. Tommy, what's our next topic?
Next topic is going to be the Walt Disney World fireworks have returned. On July 1st, they officially returned Happily Ever After at the Magic Kingdom, and Epcot returned with Epcot Forever. Now, for those who have been to Epcot anytime in the last few months, there's giant barges in the center of World Showcase Lagoon. Those are going to be for a future show called Harmonious that's going to debut on October 1st, and we'll kind of touch on that in the 50th anniversary news. But Epcot Forever was a show that debuted. It was, I think, October 1st of 2019. It was I think it was October 1st, 2019.
Yeah, that sounds right. I do remember it was the same week that Galaxy's Edge opened, and obviously the last week of Illuminations, because
Yeah.
the day after Illuminations ended, Epcot Forever began, and Food and
Yeah.
Wine began that same weekend.
Yeah. And I feel pretty lucky that I got to go to both the last Illuminations and the first Epcot Forever. I feel like some people have unfairly rated Epcot Forever. Like it's not as grand or glorious as Illuminations is. Illuminations was one of my favorite shows, but I personally really like Epcot Forever. I think it's a really nice transitional show that celebrates Epcot's past, present, and future. And it's like not meant to be a permanent show. Like it's literally a transitional show between Illuminations and Harmonious, which is supposed to be a very big deal. I know a lot of people have complained about those barges being in the center of World Showcase Lagoon. So I am hoping when the show debuts, it will be spectacular because some of the artwork on what the barges look like they can do, like it looks like it has the potential to be incredible. So I really hope it does live up. But right now, Epcot Forever, I did get to see it because before COVID, it was just the Epcot Forever barges. Oh, right now, Epcot Forever doesn't have the jet skis or the kites. They did, I guess, get rid of those during COVID. Um, So right now it's just the fireworks and the Epcot music. Um, but one thing that I was like kind of like, this is gonna be a little weird, is those harmonious barges that are in the center of World Showcase Lagoon, those giant eyesores, are not a part of the Epcot Forever fireworks show at all. And I was a little bit worried about like, so those giant barges are just going to be there and not a part of the fireworks show until October 1st. And during the fireworks show itself, it is dark enough to where you don't even really notice them during the show, at least. It's just kind of an awkward thought during the day, I think. But you know, if you are going to Disney World and just wanting to see some fireworks at the end of your day at Epcot, it honestly is very, very nice having the fireworks back. I really feel like I took those for granted before COVID. Like I did not see them enough, and I want to be able to go as much as I can now that they're back.
Yes, I agree with all of that. To touch on Epcot Forever for a moment, I like that show from a Disney history standpoint. Anything that celebrates Epcot is good in my book.
Hmm.
Uh, at least on the surface, you think it would be. When I saw Epcot Forever the first time, I was blown away by when they use Walt's voice in it.
Yes,
That is the
I'm a
coolest
sucker for
part to
that.
me. But then A Whole New World from Aladdin plays for some reason,
Yeah,
and it's the only thing I could possibly link Aladdin to is that Aladdin and Jasmine sometimes meet in the Morocco Pavilion.
yeah,
Other than that, there is no Aladdin presence in Epcot, nor has there ever been, I believe. But
yeah. It's
um,
like I think like the incorporation of that can be like alluding to like Epcot's future and like kind of what Harmonious might have to entail. Which I know that there are some longtime Epcot fans that like kind of rub them the wrong way with that, because there is like the magic of Epcot where part of its magic is that it doesn't have as much like Disney intellectual property. And there's been a lot of people who have complained that they're doing it a little bit too much right now. Like and I'll admit, like I was a really big fan of Maelstrom in Norway before they turned it into Frozen Ever After, and Frozen Ever After has grown on me. Like I do enjoy it, but when I was a kid, I never really appreciated the Norway movie after the ride, and I really wish I would have been able to appreciate that more while it was there. And the ride itself, I really loved. But I think part of like I think they can still like kind of keep Epcot's spirit while incorporating some of that IP. Um, and I think at least part of it might help Epcot a little bit, like with the Ratatouille ride opening in France, which that's going to be touched on in our 50th news. Because when I was a kid, when me and my family went to Epcot, we never explored the World Showcase. My parents like, there's no rides there. It's just shops, blah, blah, you know. So, you know, I never really did the World Showcase until I was an adult, and that's, you know, my favorite part of the park now. Um, so like I think it will be nice to like I know like France is like kind of the only place getting another ride at the moment, but like it'll be kind of nice that like maybe more kids will be able to see the showcase younger than I got to, and I'm sure a lot of people had a similar experience to me in that regard.
yeah, I agree. Overall, it's great to see fireworks back. I just saw Epcot
Mm.
Forever a couple nights ago, and I also felt like I took it for granted. Um, it was better than I remember it being. I believe I'd only seen it
Yeah.
once before anyway, and it was the first night. I was actually I wasn't with you in person, but I saw the last Illuminations and I saw the first Epcot Forever.
Hmm.
So anyway, I'm really glad to see fireworks back. I'll be seeing Happily Ever After for the first time in just a couple days. So well, for
Nice.
the first time in
Yeah.
a year.
I am so on July 1st, I actually made my way out to the Grand Floridian and watched it from the boat dock. Like I wasn't able to get into the park that day. It was just too I wasn't going to be able to do it. But I felt like with fireworks returning after a year and a half, I had to see Happily Ever After on its day back, and that was really awesome to see, especially because they do play the Happily Ever After music at the Grand Floridian boat dock. There was a lot of us there. Um, and I will be seeing it for the first time in the park in I think 2 weeks, or it might be next week. I forget, but I'll be seeing it soon. I'm really really excited because that is an incredibly beautiful show that I did not see enough, and I want to make sure I see it more now that it's back. Especially with it. You can, were you about to say something?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to say we can kind of segue into Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary news at this point.
Go for it.
Like we slightly touched on a few things, but two big things that are happening. We said Harmonious is debuting on October 1st to kick off the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, but the Magic Kingdom is also getting a brand new show for the 50th, which I think some people are not surprised by that fact, but to me I was surprised only because Happily Ever After is so new. Like it only debuted in 2017, and now it's only been 4 years and it's getting replaced by a new show, which is also going to feature projections not only on the castle but all the way down Main Street, which that sounds incredible. I think it's going to be called Disney Enchanted,
Something like that. I don't remember off the top of
something
my
like
head.
that. But
But
yeah,
that's going to be cool. I've seen Disneyland's show where they project up and down Main Street. Unfortunately, the time I was there, they weren't doing fireworks because Disneyland can't actually do fireworks every night. But the projections along Main Street are very cool, and I think it's going to translate well to our Main Street here in Florida.
I would agree with that, especially because I went to Disneyland in 2019, and I remember, like, is their Main Street smaller? I remember their castle being smaller. So like having like the wideness of the Magic Kingdom's Main Street with the big castle, I think is going to be even more grand.
Mhm.
So like that's going to be really, really cool. And then not only that, along with the new fireworks shows, we're going to have all the park icons are going to have beautiful iridescent projections during the nighttime. So the Epcot Ball, Spaceship Earth is going to have a new nighttime lighting to it, which they actually are installing light bulbs all around Spaceship Earth. I don't know if they're fully installed, but I remember the last time I went into the park, I was able to see some of them were there, but there were a few spots that didn't have them yet. So they're working on Epcot's. Magic Kingdom, you obviously got the castle. Animal Kingdom, it's going to be on the Tree of Life. They're going to have a cool projection. And for Hollywood Studios' icon, they're going to be on the Tower of Terror.
Very cool. I got asked, Tommy, did you sign up to get those Walt Disney World 50th anniversary license plates?
I did not. I have not, and I kind of wish. Is that only going to be like offered during the year and a half, or?
I don't even know if it's still available now to sign up for it. I did it a few months ago, if not last year, but when it was announced, I still haven't gotten it yet. So
Oh
it's
wow.
I'm probably gonna get it closer to the 50th, I'd imagine. But it's a very cool license plate. I believe it has the big 50 logo on it, and it's
Yeah.
blue. It's that iridescent, like
Yeah.
dark blue. So if those are still available, you got to hop on there and get them.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely love to get my hands on that. And it's actually the first like official Florida license that is Disney related at all, which is
Yeah, I
like kind
remember
of
seeing
cool.
that. And it's interesting because I was reading once about all these specialty license plates that they have, and Florida has more specialty license plates than any other state by a lot, and none of them have been Disney up until this point.
Yeah, it took 50 years. That's wild.
Yeah. All right, my dude.
All right. Should we move on to the review?
Yeah, tell us about the VelociCoaster.
VelociCoaster. All right. So VelociCoaster officially opened on Thursday, June 10th, I believe was the date. It was kind of open for an entire month before that, though. I'm a pass holder there, so I got to go to a pass holder preview on May 5th. And then they had an entire month of like soft openings and technical rehearsals. Like on the pass holder page every day, I saw people going to it, and I even went to one of them. So I rode the ride about 5 times before it officially opened, and then I ended up going opening day for the heck of it, just to kind of be a part of that. I feel like it probably would have been more special had I gone at rope drop, but for reasons I wasn't able to go early that day. But I did still go later in the day, and that day they were giving out free churros, which was like kind of an inside joke because I think some people, like, there was like a rumor that there was going to be a new churro stand, and even on the pass holder page, hey, did you guys go to the technical rehearsals for the new churro stand, like that kind of a thing. And then Universal like totally like went into it like, hey, get a free churro after riding VelociCoaster today. So like that was completely awesome that they did that. But anyway, my review of VelociCoaster. long story short, it's my favorite roller coaster that I've been on now. I've been on 59 roller coasters, and I have not been on a roller coaster that has been this thrilling, this comfortable and soft, and had that level of theming. It has two launches. The first one went from 0 to 50. The second one went from 40 to 70, 75. And after the second launch, it goes up a 140-foot tall hi hat, then goes down into a 100-foot long zero-G stall. So it literally hangs you upside down for 100 feet. And keeping in mind, this is a roller coaster that only has a lap bar, like an over-the-shoulder lap bar. There are no over-the-shoulder restraints. It's just a lap bar. There are a lot of modern roller coasters that are doing this, and this was the first one that I've ever been on. And the seats for this particular roller coaster and those restraints were so comfortable and soft. And it was such a thrilling ride, too. And then that inversion, then towards the end of the ride, there is a barrel roll, which the ride, they call it a Mosasaurus roll, right over the water. And it just, every time I go on it, it feels like it's going to fling me down into the water. It is such a cool ride. And aside from the thrilling ride itself, the queue itself is very well themed. Even the outdoor portion, before you even get into the themed portion, is just cool to wait in, because you're waiting outside just seeing people go over the hi-hat and into those like really cool inversions at the second half of the ride. And it's just honestly cool to be around it. The opening day, I only waited like an hour and 45 minutes, and I had no problem waiting in that. At least half of that was just outside watching the trains go by. And then the inside queue is just very well themed. They have like 2 animatronic raptors. There's a really cool pre-show video with Chris Pratt's character from the movie, as well as I forget the actress's name.
I think is it Bryce Dallas Howard?
Like
The redhead girl?
Yeah, I feel bad that I don't remember her name, but they played their parts very well in the pre-show. The story of the ride is literally just they put a roller coaster in a Velociraptor paddock. Like that's the theming of the ride. And the redhead's like kind of being all corporate, like we can't wait, has a whole like kind of corporate thing. Chris Pratt's like, this is a bad idea. I'm just throwing that out right there. I don't care how long you wait in line, leave right now. Like these are dangerous predators. And like I felt like it was done very well, this story of that ride, because I feel like there's a lot of rides, particularly at Universal, they're like, oh my god, you're crazy, you got to get out of here. But like this is more of like they just straight up put it in there, and it was played off very well. Another good thing that VelociCoaster did is its locker system. So a lot of rides at Universal, particularly the roller coasters, you need to put your items in a locker. The Incredible Hulk in particular has a metal detector, and you have to put all of your stuff in a locker before entering the queue. So if you go to the park solo like me and then have to wait in a really long line without your phone, it's like it can be kind of, not as fun. But for VelociCoaster, they have their lockers towards the end of their queue, and they're two-sided. So when you're entering the ride, you put your items in one side of the locker, and then once you do the ride, you're going to go to the other side of the locker. And it's just done so well. Everything about this ride is done so well. I can't rave enough about it. I know there's some people that say like, the theming isn't as well, but I mean, it's also a thrill ride. Like, it's not a dark ride. I'm not expecting the Velociraptors in the ride, like, because you do pass by some Velociraptor statues and there's Velociraptor sound effects. But I've heard some people are like, they're not even animatronics. They don't even move. But like, I'm not going on VelociCoaster for animatronics. But like the fact that it's as well themed as it is, with as comfortable at, like, I can't, like, I love it. It's such a great ride. If you come to the Central Florida area, definitely check it out. It's kind of funny, before VelociCoaster reopened, I was considering dropping my Universal Pass this year, but now I'm even considering upgrading it. Like, I have the Preferred Pass, which is the cheapest you can get with free parking, but now I'm debating on getting the Premier, which also has free valet parking, free Horror Nights ticket, free Express Pass after 4 p.m. But regardless, I'm still keeping my pass just because I love VelociCoaster that much.
Oh, very cool. I haven't been on it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it whenever I go next. So let's move on to our next segment here. This is called Pass Holder Karen of the Week. All right. So as I said, I was browsing the internet to find these over-entitled type of comments that people have made about the theme parks. And this is a good one here I found about someone's less than magical experience at Disney. And I do want to say that in this whole thing, I'm going to be reading it here. The word magic, I believe, is used twice, and it's spelled with a J both times instead of a G. So I don't believe English was this person's first language, and I don't want to make fun of them for that. However, I am going to read it the way it's written because it makes it funnier. So let's hop on board to the pass holder Karen of the week. We were very disappointed. We love Disney World, but now it isn't the same. The magic is gone since COVID. There are no character meet and greets, no regular parades, no Mickey Mouse to be seen anywhere in the park. My 5-year-old granddaughter went around the parks for 2 days calling for Mickey Mouse, never seeing him make an appearance in any of the places we were to look. Also, I spent extra money for the memory maker and so far have been able to use it less than 10 times. Could very rarely find anyone. Long gone are parades, fireworks, and the magic Disney is known for. They say it's because of COVID. Well, it's funny you still have long lines. Yes, there is a barrier between the two lines, but you are still up close to the people in front of you and back of you.
All right. Well, good job, Karen.
So that was a good one. I don't believe this person really didn't do too much research on how the parks were functioning during COVID. First of all, Mickey Mouse was places to be found in all the parks several times a day.
Yeah, several other Disney characters as well. Like every single park incorporates some sort of cavalcade that goes through various times during the day. Now maybe it was a very rainy and thundery day, so I could see them not coming out as much that day, but that's what happens. You can't send out Mickey Mouse on a float when there's lightning in the summer. I don't know when this person went, but there are plenty of times to catch Mickey Mouse. And then like the memory maker, did she say she only used it 10 times or something, as if only?
She was able, it says here, also I spent extra money for the memory maker and so far have been able to use it less than 10 times.
Less than 10 times.
Yeah. But
so like 9 times?
I don't know. I guess we couldn't get an exact number. 10, it's too high. But I have noticed at times that there aren't a lot of PhotoPass photographers around, and I would say during COVID there were even less, and rightfully so. But I kind of get the frustration with that.
Yeah.
But overall, there's a reason I pulled this as a Karen of the week.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure with the memory maker, you also get your ride photos, which those are easily like $15 to $20 just to download a digital copy of those.
See, but the problem with that also during COVID was if anyone on your vehicle isn't wearing their mask when the picture gets taken, nobody in the vehicle gets the picture.
Right.
So, I mean, I went to the parks during COVID a few times, quite a few times, and I think I maybe got 1 or 2 ride photos in the last year of going to the parks because there's always someone who's not wearing their mask on it. So
True. I feel really lucky. I had a friend that was able to get me to one of the cast member previews of Magic Kingdom last July, and it was so incredible just because of how dead the park was. And at that time, the distancing, they were doing a lot of it. So it was just me and my friend on Splash Mountain. So we have a really awesome photo of just us two, like on Splash Mountain. Plus, during those previews, they actually had free photo pass. So that was really cool that we had our photo for it.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
But anyways, so this person wasn't able to get photos though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, because like I've been to the parks a few times, and I'm trying to think of like when I've seen the photo pass people, because I haven't really. Yeah, they haven't been too much available.
No, I've only seen them in like the main areas, in front of the park icons, maybe.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Park icons. I feel like there's always the one in front of the big Woody sign at Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. All right.
A couple times by the International Gateway entrance at Epcot. I feel like they usually have some sort of sign for a festival around there, so I'll occasionally, if I'm ever back there at Epcot.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Our next segment here, Creatures of the Parks. Now, when I say creatures, I'm not talking about the animals at Animal Kingdom or the velociraptors over at Universal. I'm talking about
raptors.
I'm talking about human beings who have lowered themselves to act like prehistoric animals. So I have a story here. And that's what this segment's going to be. I think it's going to be a story each week or whatever. And this one is from when I was in a park once, and I was sitting on a fountain, rather on the ledge of a fountain, eating some food. Right, just had a tray of food, was sitting there eating by myself, and all of a sudden, a family of 6, I believe, surrounds me, just on all sides. Kind of makes like a horseshoe shape around me,
Ooh.
and there's 2 grandparents, 2 parents, and 2 kids. And they all just get like, this is pre-COVID, so like still obnoxious, but not the end of the world. They all just surround me and go all around me. And they're right next to me. And they're all talking over each other. None of them are making any sense. Grandma's only paying attention to what the little boy says, and he's speaking a whole bunch of nonsense. Everyone else is just talking. I was fuming angry that they just surrounded me. Like I couldn't physically leave if I wanted to.
Yikes.
And they didn't even notice I was there. I'm convinced they did not even know I was there, less than a foot away from all of them. And all of a sudden, I'm looking down. I'm wearing a baseball cap like I'm wearing now, looking down at my food, so I can't really see anything peripherally. And all of a sudden, I see the hand of the daughter, like the little girl in the family, reach into my tray of chips and take a chip out.
Oof.
And then put it back and went, sorry.
Yikes.
I said it like she was 4. She wasn't 4. She was probably like 10 or 11. And
Yikes.
at that moment, I just stood up, weaseled my way out of this horrible group of human beings, threw my whole tray of food away, because at this point, some dirty kid put her hands all over it and just walked away. I was fuming angry. Tommy, what do you think?
Yeah. No, I hate crap like that when people at these parks don't respect people's personal boundaries. That's one thing I shouldn't say that I miss about COVID, because there was a reason there were certain rules, but I really enjoyed going to the parks when physical distancing was really enforced, because then you really didn't run into that. Disney did a very good job with enforcing those rules. Like I feel like Universal and other parks, by the time it reached October, most other parks kind of weren't doing the best job. But yeah, no, I don't like those creatures. No.
Nor do I, but they are just roaming this earth everywhere, specifically in Florida. This is where they all come every summer. All the creatures of the world come to Central Florida and just spread their disease amongst everyone. And I'm not talking about a real disease, just their
It's like I feel like everyone that comes here is either some of the coolest people you'll ever meet or creatures.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, that is true. I've met so many friends down here in Florida, so that's a good point. But most of the people are creatures.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what, Tommy? I think that about wraps up our first episode of Please Remain Seated.
Yep, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us on our first episode of Please Remain Seated. We're going to be featuring news and reviews every week, as well as our other fun segments. This week was very Florida heavy, but I know on the next show I am going to try to do a review of a park that isn't in Central Florida. It's not too far, Six Flags Over Georgia. I'm really looking forward to giving a review on a different park that I feel like, I don't hear as many people talk about. And if you guys have anything that you'd like to hear us potentially review, or if you have any Karens that you want to send our way, please let us know. Contact us through our social media pages, and we will try to feature them on the show.
Also, if anyone here listening ends up being a fan of mine or Tommy's voice, we do have another comedic podcast. It is NSFW, Not Safe for Work. So kids, ask your parents before logging in and listening to that show.
Yes, it is very raunchy. It is very raunchy, so much separate from this show, but...
Yes, but if you want to check it out, go for it. It's called Two Useless Organisms, and you guessed it, those 2 useless organisms are myself and Tommy.
Yeah, pretty fun time.
All right.
But
Have anything else to say, Tommy?
No. Felt like I had a thought, but it disappeared. But, just remember to please remain seated and have a safe trip.
Yes. Bye. Stay out of Central Florida. I'll say something. Tommy, it's so great to be here with you today.
It's great to be here with you too, Tristan. Really great.